Paul Emmett, Grant Bills, they are here with me today. We are doing and it's real fun. It's like Paul throws out a question and we basically say yes or no. Buy or sell, take it or leave it. Puff or pass, I like that suggestion.
Bart, do you remember the origin of the, like, you probably don't. You were doing the show with Horvat on the radio. And I had been coming on. I think we had just been doing trivia for like 3 months straight. If I recall correctly, like sports was starting to come back. So it felt like, okay, let's do something with sports. And I said, okay, I want to ask you some questions. And then we were debating. I remember in the text message, it was I was like, I could call it, I forget, some other version, buy or sell, but it wasn't. That's it. And then just as I was coming on, I'm like, hey, how about or And you're like, let's do that. And it was like live on the spot.
And we don't do it as well as we like. We like the segments, great, but we don't do the. I think part of being on the radio, just screaming like goats, was a little more. I don't know. Yeah,
I actually, as much as it was fun with you and Horvat, when it was Toby and getting Toby to come out of his shell by going, was very rewarding.
Yeah.
Says in Toby's voice. It was amazing.
Loved Toby on the post game the other night, by the way. Nice to hear from your potato wedge. That was good.
Sometimes he'll like text me during games and I'll be like, oh, I hope he comes on tonight. I don't want to just be like, hey, get on the stream. But he came on. It was good. I was glad to see him again.
Is that what you tell Tim? Get on the stream? Is it as forward as that, or is it different?
I always send Tim the link. If I know he's awake, and then he always goes like, "I'll come on at the end. Let me know when you're ending. I'll come on." And then I had him on for Tim Shea Tuesdays, and he's like, "I like this. I just like this." Tim, no, you're with me every day, you bitch. You were. Asshole.
How long did Tim Shea produce the Bart Winkler radio show?
Really, like a month. I mean,
it wasn't.
It was not long.
I really wish I would have been recording. I wish we had an oral history of the program and all of its different casts and characters of producers and callers and their entrances and exits to the show. I wish we had that, but.
Alas. And then who was longer, Tim Shea or Todd?
I think Todd.
I think Todd too. Do you remember how Todd left the show?
Todd slipped on ice outside and died.
Yeah, but Horvat, if I recall correctly, like it made it look like an accident.
Well, he wasn't wearing masks to work.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So he yelled at him.
Horvat hated Todd.
Well, he loved him because Todd helped Horvat do his job.
Yeah, but what a pain in the ass.
But not well, because Todd was very focused on the X's and O's and didn't really want all the extracurricular nonsense.
You know what I don't miss from the Horvat era is
he didn't want to be on the air. He just wanted to just produce.
I don't miss it being like 10, any time between 10 and noon, whether it was text or DMs or tweets. No pod today? No pod today? Because he wouldn't load them. He's just like, I'm out of here. Fuck this.
He always had a different reason that he couldn't quite stay to get that other pod up, which I enjoyed. Which, how much has changed now? Like when you guys record, it's like gets pushed back. He's got something going on.
Oh, he's always sick.
He always just woke up.
That's never gonna change. He's sick more than he's healthy.
Which is coincidence because as we do our recollections here and our reflections, his main character arc on the Bart Winkler radio show was that he was never sick. That was a piece of the Ryan Horvat real like character. Like, oh, I'm never sick. Until February of 2020. And for some reason, I remember that because of what would soon come thereafter in the world.
From Joliet Catholic to Creston, Iowa to...
He hit a home run off of...
Oh, fuck.
Tanner Roark?
Tanner Roark, yeah.
Oh! I didn't know when I asked the question. I was trying to see if my brain could find the information.
I remember it was some shitty national.
Tanner Roark. He hit a home run off of.
All right, what do you got?
That's all. That's good.
Oh, all right.
You want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say we're gonna do Jackson Chourio because I need to. I want to. I think we should. But do you want to start with a LaFleur centric topic or a Love centric topic?
Why don't we do Jackson? And
Whoa.
then I'll play. I got some voicemails for you guys, and then we'll go Packers.
All right. I was not expecting that, so I will scroll momentarily. Can you fill airspace for 8 seconds?
I don't feel like it.
Maybe 7 seconds? Can you hit me there?
There's a 15-second fast forward.
All right, ready?
People know how to
I'm ready.
operate this.
Here we go. Should I wait for the full 15-second fast forwards? Okay. And topic.
Right.
Even if Jackson Chourio doesn't become an elite MLB player, this is the type of deal the Brewers should always try to do, and is a good deal for the Brewers regardless. Or
Well, why don't I let our resident Brewers guy first, Grant?
I like how you worded it because I think that's the correct wording. Like we don't know if he's going to hit or not.
Right.
He is more likely to hit. And I was talking about this on my show. Like, yeah, it's not guaranteed, but he's more guaranteed than any other prospect we've ever had. So, So sure, yes, any prospect could fail. But comparing him with some of these prospects of the past, the Brewers have had lots of good prospects, but Chourio's on another level. The way you worded it, it's a good deal. It's good process, no matter the result. I think the Brewers at some point, if they're ever going to win a World Series, are going to need to take some sort of a leap of faith, right?
Yes.
They're going to need to jump maybe without a safety net at some point, whether that's renting a player at the deadline or signing a player in free agency that they know they really can't afford, but they're going to have to make it work. Like, they need to do something where they're out over their skis. And I think this is the best, most Brewers version of that. Of taking a leap. I think this is the best way that they can push chips into the middle of the table. This is a good, healthy Brewers risk. So I will say, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's a risk to not sign this too, Paul.
Huge. Huge
it's a risk either way. And I'm always risk of aggression. I want to be going for it rather than being passive. And I think the Brewers are going to need to go for it in some way if they ever want to win a title. And this is as good a way as any, because I don't think they're going to rent and they're not going to spend a bunch of money. So I think this is the best option. Paul.
Oh, you're reading my mind because I was thinking I didn't like that first one.
I passed over it too much.
Bart Winkler, even if Jackson Chourio doesn't become an elite MLB player, this is the type of deal the Brewers should always try to do, regardless of how Chourio winds up.
Oh yeah, big time move.
Big time.
Yeah, that's my answer. Oh, you want more? This is the exact kind of thing they need to do. Look, you don't do this for a Tyler Black.
I disagree, but keep going.
Well,
you don't do 142 million, but
you don't do this for Robert Gasser.
I disagree again.
Brock Wilken.
So, Paul, you just think they should sign their entire minor league squad?
We're gonna be. I would to give $120 million to teenagers.
I would absolutely.
What are you, a Josh Giddey lawsuit?
I would absolutely give money to top 5 prospects. Now, again, nothing near the 82 million guaranteed, 142 with the 2 options. I'm not saying that. That's elite money. But if you could right now lock up Frelick, Mitchell, Gosser, to keep going, Tyler Black.
And now I'm like, nah, that's too much.
Well, no, because let's say 2 of those guys fail, but they got some guarantee. Okay, so again, this is why I'm trying to say. I think the idea here, and it was reported, was this our guy Kurt Hogue, I think, who had reported this is not the first time the Brewers have tried to do this.
Recently. Well, with the Braves, they gave Acuna 17 for many years, and then Albies got 7.
Yeah, and there's guys who have failed. If someone was pointing out John Singleton and Evan White or whoever these guys are, who have signed contracts before debuting, and then I don't know, they're sort of replacement level dudes at best. So it doesn't always work. But again,
John Singleton, Brewers legend.
But I think I think the process of saying okay, we know that at least if this guy does become good, We don't have to worry about arbitration. We're not going to get stuck in another Corbin Burns situation of arguing over $750,000. Like, if they're good, we're paying under market value. If they're not good, it's not like a terrible cost. Okay, we're paying $5 million for a bench player. You're doing that anyway. You're picking up Mark Canna's at the deadline for $10 million. So, like, I don't know. To me, it's the right process regardless, knowing that if you did this with like your top 5, 6 prospects, that 2 or 3 of them are going to be not up to the snuff of the contract that they get. But the payoff at the end for the guys who are good, or hopefully in some cases great, for me, that's exactly what the Brewers should be trying to do. If they truly, genuinely think the player is as good as the prospect lists, infer. So if they truly, truly, truly believe in Tyler Black, and they're like, there's a 70% chance this guy's going to be really good, sign him.
I think you need more than that.
Okay, say more than I'll pause. You go.
Interesting.
Well, Chourio, I mean,
the money on Chourio is obviously that he's not
going to miss.
And even if he quote unquote misses, he's going to be
if he misses
a regular everyday starter.
Well, what bad luck? What a bummer. But you got to look at this like,
no way that happens to the Brewers. Are you kidding me?
You got to look at this like, what are we going to regret less? That's how I look at things. What are you going to regret less?
Yes.
When you make 2 decisions, it's not what should we do in this moment. You need to look 20 years ahead and be like, I wish I would have done that.
And that's why I would do Tyler Black. That's why I would do so. Like, just to the point.
So when you hear this, I for the whole time I'm just like, yes, do it instantly. I said that Matt Arnold should be the one who's more nervous because, like, oh my God, I'm actually pulling this off.
Yeah.
With the same case with the Braves, the same place with Chourio, I kind of feel like we're almost taking advantage of them, even though we're giving them $80 million to do nothing. Yep. The Brewers, they have the baseball is what it is. We're not going to change that. It is what it is. And so they've tried to play along with that and then tinker and we'll do this and we'll get cracks and it's not working. So they need to figure out a different way. And I do kind of look at this like the Giannis draft pick. That was such a like, what is this? How can this work? This is weird. Who is this? How do you spell? Let's still pronounce his name wrong as a joke 10 years from now if we're sports guys. But if there's anything out there where the payoff is like incredible, where the payoff is incredible, you have, I think, to do it with being the Brewers and maybe bigger teams too. Like if you can get a guy like this, I mean, that's great. That alleviates the payroll a little bit.
I mean, the Braves, like, again, the Braves are not a small market team.
No.
And they do it, and they do it well, and they do it correctly.
And I know there's people that think about this and say, if you're apprehensive, it's just like, I mean, I get it to a degree, but also I just think you're I think that we have almost a fetish to worry about things before they happen.
I would tell anyone who was.
What if it doesn't work out? Then it doesn't work out. I would rather sign him and have it not work out than all of a sudden in his 4th year, he's like, shit, I'm hitting 50 bombs a year. I need $40 million. Mm-hmm. And the Brewers are like, well, I guess where do you want to go? We'll try to help you out.
Well, they got it. Then their Juan Soto sweepstakes, like he was 2 years ago when he was a National, being traded to the Padres, where it's like you're going to get a prospect haul, but you don't have Juan Soto anymore. Like that's what would happen. And the Nationals, by the way, tried early on in Soto's career to give him a Chourio type contract, and Soto didn't do it. The thing that I was most worried about is that Chourio would get cold feet and say, oh gosh, the prospect of making $500 million is too great. I'm going to just take this year by year. Like that was the biggest risk, I think, for the Brewers, is that Chourio would have been talked out of it, which some former players tried to do publicly, like on their shows. So like, don't do it, Jackson. Don't do it. Like, oh no, please don't listen to that advice. Like from a Brewers fan is what I was thinking. So like, I'll give you an example, Bart. You brought up Giannis and process, and what John Hammond, I think, did a really good job of, an interesting job of. And Grant, you talked about like you have to take sometimes a different approach to roster building, and is it because you're going to do a deadline deal for a contract that you know you won't be able to re-sign or whatever the case? The Bucks like, oh, okay, like this Giannis thing worked out. Let's try it again and let's draft Thon Maker 10th overall. In hindsight, I would have rather they took the 11th pick with Domantas Sabonis. Like, add a guy like Sabonis who went one pick after Thon Maker.
Well, I was thrilled about Thon Maker.
Same.
Wicked and I did a 4-hour Thon Maker celebration show because it was the day after a draft, so Chuck took off. He always said it was a coincidence, but it was not.
It was not.
He was always at, especially the NBA and MLB draft. And that's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't need, if you don't want to take that on for one day of show, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to talk to on the air, get the first Milwaukee interviews with Brewers legends such as Keston Hiura.
Yes, it did.
And Corey Ray.
You jinxed both of them. But like the process that they drafted Giannis with.
Corey Ray's a Bears fan, if I recall.
That's what doomed him. Never mind. That wasn't your fault. That was the Bears' fault. But like, the process that led to drafting Thon is how you have Giannis. Like, so to me, it's although it worked tremendously with Giannis, it worked terribly with Thon Maker over Domantas Sabonis. But you do that when you're a market like the Bucks or the Brewers or like in the Milwaukee area. So anyway, yeah. So I would go further than you guys would, and I know Bart, you have a voicemail, but like I would apply this same thing. I'm not saying $82 million guaranteed with option years at $30 million a year. I'm not saying that for these other guys, but I would approach several of them with that type of offer. Now, let me say, I would not do that with Joey Wiemer. I've sold most of my Wiemer stock.
Everyone fucking hates Joey Wiemer.
I don't hate him. I just sold my stock.
I like every time the Brewers come up, Bill is like, no one likes Joey Wiemer. Joey Wiemer was a kid who was not supposed to be in the majors last year, and he ended up having to play everyday center field, and actually was like, what was he, fourth or fifth or sixth on the team in RBIs? Like, I don't know. I'm
not saying I don't want him on the team. I'm saying I would not give him an 8-year contract.
And I wouldn't either. Everyone, well, Joey Wiemer, he does all that bullshit before he swings. Like he's the only Major League Baseball player to ever do something before. Like Ricky Weeks, who now is our hero. Ricky Weeks did that thing. Anyways,
future manager. Yeah.
Associate.
All right. I do have some voicemails and a tweet that I wanted to bring up to this audience. I'll do that coming up. This is the Bart Winkler Show. And we are back on the Bart. Paul like left like it was a real break. Paul, put the ads in. All right. I want to remind you about my buddies at Happy Place Hemp. Chris and Rob doing great work over there as families continue to get together and just despise the presence of others. So take a gummy and go to another world. Is what I always say. Or maybe you guys like being together. Maybe you like being together. Buy them some gummies. This is a great stocking stuffer. All right. It's a great thing if you got your brother-in-law or sister-in-law or whoever and you don't know what they like and you don't know what to get them, give them some gummies. Give them a sampler pack. Get them on to happyplacehemp.com. The promo code is BART. That is good for 25% off every single order at happyplacehemp.com. So through the Christmas rush here, get those. Again, after the season ends in football, the discount will be 25 plus the amount of Packer wins. So we're getting up there. There's a chance this dumbass team could win 11 games, which would be good for the discount. But that'll be a 2024 situation. In 2023, you need to stock up. The promo code will work both times, so it don't matter. You get maybe a bigger promo code, then you'll get a nice promo code now. 25% off all their products, happyplacehemp.com. The promo code is BART, free shipping wherever you are. You can go to Muskego if you want. I didn't do a good enough job of that, I don't think. There's still people that ask me, I just can't get the Muskego. So I'll send it to you, man. I'll send it to you. So got to make sure of that. This next portion will be Teacher Tom Heavy. He has a voicemail, and then I also saw his tweet from him, and I want to congratulate him because he is the first one to even go there, and nobody responded to it. And I was going to, but I thought I'd give him a shout out here on the pod instead. He tweeted at Kurt Hogue, McKelvey, me, Tim Allen, Miller Park Minute, and Grant. He said, what trade package could the Brewers get for Chourio? I'm not recommending it, but could we get an all-star first baseman and starting pitcher? It's like, the ink's not even dry, Tom. And you're going trade. I understand, like, oh, what kind of value would this get? I understand we can play hypotheticals with that. We're not going to, but I thought that was an interesting tweet.
What do you think McKelvey thought when he saw that? He's like, what is discussed on the shows with Bart and Grant? What are they talking about?
Yeah, it's not, because that's Tom's independent idea.
No shit, it is. Yeah, I don't want my name on that.
Like, that's fucking Winkler guy. What the fuck?
He's radio.
All right, here's a Carl's Place voicemail from Tom. Carl's Place, Golf Simulators, carloft.com/Bart.
Hey, this is Teacher Tom. I have a question, mostly from Paul and Grant. I am glad that I said that wrong. I'm glad the Brewers have a new manager for next season because they needed a new voice. After the third playoff run, that was one of the topics. Do they need a new voice? And Bart touched on this aspect of it a little bit, but Paul and Grant haven't said anything on this side of things since Council left us for the Cubs.
So there's the gist of the question. We had been talking about maybe a new voice is needed. Now that we're a month removed and Craig Counsell's been to at least one Bucks and at least one Marquette women's game and several high school events as well in the Milwaukee area, which is his home because we're a suburb of Chicago. Do you think a new voice is appropriate? Do you think a new voice is good? Is there a silver lining to this?
Oh, West Bend, the silver lining?
Yeah.
For me, it's there is a silver lining to it, but it's kind of like you would have gone to Old Reliable. Like you would have re-signed Counsell, and we shouldn't rewrite history to say like, oh, it's wonderful the Brewers didn't re-sign Counsell. They tried to, they should have tried to, they didn't get to. But if you're talking about like silver lining and like it's not the thing you would have done if you were presented the choice. Like, you want to let Counsell walk? Like, you are going to voluntarily not make Counsell an offer and you're going to let him go to the Cubs. Like, no. But with that happening, I do think there is something to that voices get stale. Like, even Bill Belichick voices, like, greatest ever. Like, magic can run its course. Does always run its course if you let it try to. And Counsell, for several years now, has been the most tenured MLB manager, or was it NL manager? He was long outpacing his peers in terms of being in one spot. Now, in terms of like winning the offseason managerially, everything Pat Murphy has said so far, I have been like, yes. Like, what was the clip? What was the clip I sent you guys the other day? What Murphy was talking about? Oh, the Chourio number, where he said, he's number 92 to me. Like he's gonna be wearing his minor league player jersey in spring training, and I'm gonna have that number 11 hanging in my office. And when he's earned it, he's gonna come pick up that number 11, and I'm gonna give him a big hug. And I was like, oh my God, like I want to work for this man. Like I want to be around this guy. And I'm not saying that wasn't true of Counsell, but I think there's something refreshing and invigorating about a new voice if that new voice has a command to it. And again, having good press conferences in December is not the same thing as winning a baseball game in the regular season. But like yes, for me, Teacher Tom, Painter Tom.
I made all those comments with the understanding that if Craig Counsell was leaving, it would be to go spend time with his family or go manage anywhere else. So that's a very important count. It's like, well, if he's not managing the Brewers, I guess it could be okay. I never once considered that he would go manage the Cubs, but I guess when you think about it, it's only an hour and 50 minutes away from his family, and that'll allow him to spend more time with his family. So I guess all those things are still true. I really like what I've heard from Murph. I'm with Paul on that. So I feel like we lost Counsell, and that sucks for a lot of reasons, but I loved everything I heard from Murphy and in just about everything that he said. I think what Ricky Weeks is going to bring to this team. You ask anyone who's around the Brewers, they're like, this guy is going to be really good at what he does eventually, whether that's a manager or working in the front office. Like, there's a lot of belief in the building of Ricky Weeks. So no, I mean, I think we took an L, and like the Brewers often do, they turn it into some form of a win. The Brewers are very good at that. And I think, it's not the same, but it does feel like Ryan Braun, here's a dog. Yeah.
Craig Counsell, here's your best prospect extended for a decade. It's like, get us something to move on. Give us something to pivot to.
Josh Hader trade. Here's Paige Sporonic and William Contreras. Like, they're very good at, because a small market team like the Brewers, they have to say goodbye to players. They, again, Craig Counsell wanted to be with his family more. I can't fault him for that. So he had to move on from the Brewers. And they turned it into Pat Murphy and Ricky Weeks. So the Brewers are very good at turning a bad situation into a good one. I would still rather have Counsell. And again, all those comments, Teacher Tom, I made under the impression that he would go somewhere, not the Cubs.
And for those of you listening on the pod and not seeing, every time Grant has talked about Counsell spending more time with his family, the facial cues from Mr. Bills have told a story that his words may not have.
It's just, if you want, like, you are a baseball manager. You don't get to have a family, basically. Also, your kids are at college. They're at the U of M and they're at Michigan. What?
Yeah. Susie's gonna be negotiating with Cubs that he doesn't do weekend series. He's gonna be like Euchre's schedule, where it's just like, yeah, I'll just do the home games in Milwaukee.
Which, by the way, like, we talked about this a little bit last season. I'm surprised more managers don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Why doesn't a manager take a weekend off here? I feel like in the future, maybe we get to that point where that's normal. I feel like it should be normal.
It should be, and it will. I would bet that it will be.
And I guess players can't take a weekend off. So I don't know, but.
Is the manager?
I don't know, it's like in wrestling, they'll do injury angles to give a guy 3 weeks off just for shit,
So for the Yelich last at bat of the game, he goes, ooh, like oh, and then he's on the injury report, but he's really just like taking a 3-day PTO.
Yeah. All right, I got a voicemail for Grant. Carl's plays voicemail from Matt in the Falls.
Oh boy.
Hey Grant, it's me. Listen, I was just listening to you on Bart's show here, and you said that you were in a Woodman's the other day, and I thought back to a couple weeks ago when you said that you hate grocery shopping. You might have even used some sort of expression or euphemism to just indicate how much you hated grocery shopping. I can't recall at this point, but the problem is you're shopping at a Woodman's. Woodman's is basically just a Walmart that's all food. It's a zoo. There are creatures there that will make you question whether or not you're the same species as them. It's disorganized. It's kind of dingy. It's like they don't have a butcher counter or anything. It's just like, here's the meat. Here it is. I don't remember any seafood. I could be wrong. But Woodman's is a sad place that no one should ever go unless they have to. So maybe just try like a decent grocery store, and you might not hate it so much, because I love grocery shopping, and your comments startled me. That is all. Goodbye.
Matt in the Falls, Grant.
Well, in this economy, I can't go shopping at the Fresh Market every weekend. I walked down to the Fresh Market by Water Street like a couple weeks ago. I got a loaf of bread and a cup of soup and like one other thing. It was like $30.
I don't buy it.
What?
Food's not as expensive as people are saying.
I mean, look,
I went to Meijer. They're selling eggs for $1.
Okay, well, eggs are eggs. Okay, no one's
arguing. $6 before.
No, that was a very specific egg shortage. My Woodman's is super nice. I love my Woodmans.
Although I did see Matt in the Falls had a thread where, like, he did point out that even though there may be some inflation, some companies have used it to really jack it up. One of those being fucking Taco Bell's expensive as shit now.
Yeah.
Taco Bell is not. It's $7 just like for a quesadilla.
You used to be able to go to Taco Bell and get like 4 value menu items for like around $5, and it was great. Yeah. What's the best grocery store then?
Well, I don't know, but when I was in La Crosse, I would always just go to the festival.
You were just made of money, aren't you? Look at you. You're just you're just sitting on piles of cash. You shop at Festival.
But the other guys in my dorm would go to Woodman's in Onalaska.
Yeah.
And their reasoning was, we like that you park like horizontally instead of vertically. We like the parking lot.
Come on.
And the real reason was they just wanted to get fucking ripped up on the way there.
Well, not the best drive in the.
I went to a Woodman's in Madison recently. There's a Woodman's in Madison by
Sun Prairie.
No, it's like in Madison.
Oh, Milwaukee, the one on Milwaukee Street.
Yeah. Oh my God, that place is a fucking toilet. That's not the one I go to. Is not great.
My goal in life is to meet Phil Woodman so that I can ask him if he understands, like, is he in on the bit of his commercials? I need to know.
Ay, caramba.
Like, no, I mean this very sincerely. Is he acknowledgement of his character, or is this just the guy and he's being sincere and doesn't know that it comes off the way it comes off? This is this is important to me. I need to know this answer one day.
Dude, I won't take this Woodman's. Woodman's is a great grocery store. Some of them are nicer than others, but they have better products, better prices, and better service because they're employee owned. And I would go to a Walmart. I'm not anti-Walmart, but I got to go all the way into Monona for that. I shopped basically exclusively at Walmart in La Crosse. Festival Foods.
If I were
at Festival when you were in college, is that really what you're trying to tell me? Was
Grant,
the state of the world that different 20 years ago where you could honestly afford to do that?
Festival's not expensive.
Well, Grant, would you say, like, Grant, if you and I were to team up for a Woodman's jingle, let's say, if I were writing the lyrics, I would write something to the effect of, like, service and savings. It's Woodman's.
It's Woodman's. They have a good jingle. I was going to say.
So help me with what would the melody sound like?
Sir, you're not going to get me to sing the Woodman's jingle on the Bart Winkler Show. I don't want to do that. It's a good jingle, though. Sorry, Phil Woodman's likes a little time in the sun. The Nicolay Law guy can get it. Gruber.
Okay, I'm glad you brought him up, because if you're going to be someone who is the face of your own, whether it's grocery store or law firm, there's a very fine line of it passing off and us all like celebrating it, or it being a parody beyond belief that it's tremendously bad. And Gruber has found the right place. I mean, what he has done should be studied in terms of really filling a void of celebrity lacking in this town, where a lawyer can be the fucking main guy. Okay,
it is fascinating.
And then this Nicolay guy, this commercial at the bar where there's like 30 of them. It's like, it was poorly shot, poorly acted. I swear I saw 2 jump cuts. It was just fucking bad. It was bad. It's bad. It's like, if you can't make a good commercial, just you're better off buying 20 seconds and just putting like your fucking billboard up there.
I wonder what Gruber would say about the Nicolay Law guy. I really do.
All right. Packers.
Anywho.
LaFleur or Love?
Do it. Okay. Do LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur being undefeated in December is a coincidence. Or asked another way, there's something about, by the end of each season, like LaFleur has found the recipe and it's magic and it's whatever, or it's just a coincidence. There's nothing to read into the fact that he's 16-0 in the month of December. Matt LaFleur being undefeated in December is a coincidence. Or
Well, I think we need to look at the results. When did he take over? 19?
Yep. Yes.
They beat the Giants, the Washington, the Bears, Vikings, and Lions. Okay, that was 2019. They went 5-0 that month. Then in 2020, in December, they beat the Eagles at home. They beat the Lions on the road, the Panthers, the Titans. Some of these were close games. There's one-score games in here.
The Panthers game was the Kyle Allen snow game at Lambeau, right?
It was COVID year, was it?
Wait.
December of 2021, they only had 3 games. They had a bye.
Cleveland, Baltimore.
Wow.
Detroit?
Chicago.
Shit.
Good for you. So we're 3 games there. 2022, then last year was last year was they had another bye, but they had the Bears, Rams, and Dolphins, which were none of them were
Dolphins
respectable.
Come on. They're good. Tua got hurt.
Coincidence? No, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I will say this about the way that I've been approaching Matt LaFleur, because I really like that video that they showed where he was really pumped up. And I do have to I have to realize if you're going to get that emotional in the wins, you can't just be neutral and get super emotional. There's a counterbalance for every action, equal and opposite. So if you're going to be someone who wears your heart on your sleeve like that with your guys after a win, you are going to be more likely to cry in the halftime interview. All right. So there is a lot of emotion that he wears. There's things that I did not like about LaFleur at the beginning of the season. I thought he was making the same mistakes over and over. I was not happy with his play calling. I thought that he wasn't letting Jordan Love do anything.
Yep.
And then I also was like, do guys in that locker room even respect him? And here we are later, and I think the answers are everything that I had an issue with, that me, dumb little fan, is calling for. I think I've been satisfied. I don't have those same feelings. I feel like, and yes, the winning has helped, but guys are certainly responding to him. I think like some of these plays, it's been better. It's been good. And that's why this profession, or this, whatever it is that we do, I'm borderline profession. But when we say stuff like this, like if I, after week 3, say I want LaFleur fired, I actually wouldn't fire him though. Like if I was in charge, I would be like, all right, this is weird, but just figure it out and get the season and go from there. Okay. So I'm not like, I guess I was too quick to shit on Matt LaFleur in the Jordan Love era. Okay. You want to get that out of me? You want to crawl that out of me? You want someone to admit they were wrong? I was too quick to jump on Matt LaFleur. I'm sorry. I'm going to edit that out.
I'm sorry. Have you seated the podium? Can I go?
I'm seating the podium.
Matt LaFleur being undefeated in December is a coincidence. Or
No, coincidence would be too much, but I think the schedule has something to do with it. Aaron Rodgers has historically been better in December. I think the Packers at home in December are a better team. They were veteran-laden teams his first couple of seasons, so they were more prone to starting slow, no preseason, kind of playing their way into shape. So I think that's part of it. I also think Joe Barry historically has played his best and coached his best defensively in December at the end of the year. And Joe Barry, for all the reasons we've complained that Joe Barry is attached to Matt LaFleur, there's also, it would seem, an advantage or some advantages in that. I think Joe Barry does his best work at the end of the year, so that's something that Matt LaFleur benefits from. Part of it's the schedule. Sorry, Bart just showed his gut on the stream, and I completely short-circuited my brain. Not a coincidence. No, I don't think so. I think Matt LaFleur is a very good coach. I think he has some weaknesses, but I think it's weaknesses that can be mitigated and that he can overcome. And I think this year it was more about kind of riding out the inexperience and the struggles of the young players. And Matt LaFleur gets credit for that, right? Because what if his team lets go of the rope in that 40-game stretch or that 40-day stretch where they didn't have any wins? It was Matt LaFleur's kind of job to say, stick with me. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And his players stuck with him.
Well, some of that's tied to Love too, because he was coaching early, like he thought Love was secretly bad.
Yep, he absolutely. I mean, I think there's no question that LaFleur coached the early season like in a protective way of Jordan Love, and I think the only reason you would coach and call plays in a protective way is if you thought that guy might not be good. And you need to protect him.
You're not going to find out if he's good if you coach him that way.
That's right. Well, and yeah, there was that press conference, not coincidentally, that was Mark Murphy, or was it an interview that he did or something like mid-season this year? Was it at the bye? But remember, Murphy said something to the effect of like, well, we're 10 games in, or how did he say it? But it was like that we have 2 months left to evaluate Jordan Love. Remember this? I'm trying to think like what the timing was or what the situation was.
I remember before the year, he said it would take about 8 or 9 games.
He said that before the year. And then there was like he might have just done an interview probably during like a girls basketball tournament or something randomly.
He was probably at the Marquette game with Craig. They were sitting together.
There it was.
That's where they caught him.
But he said something like, something to that effect about we're still very much in evaluation mode or something. I'm poorly paraphrasing the quote. But at this point now, and so I would say if Jordan Love had not come along the way he has in the past month especially, then LaFleur being undefeated in December would clearly have gone by the wayside. Even, I mean, against the Chiefs is about as tough of a test as you're going to get in the regular season. So the development of Love depends how much of that credit you want to give to LaFleur, and saying like, okay, well, like they've figured it out. Like there are players in every sport who are like notorious slow starters.
Mm-hmm.
They just like, it's just not when they're good. They're not good early. And LaFleur, one of the criticisms that we've given of him, which I think is probably still accurate, even in this recent stretch, is like LaFleur takes a while to figure things out. He doesn't get things right the first time. Not travel schedules, not play calls, not field goal, not go for it on fourth decisions. He needs a bunch of fuck ups before he's like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do it. And so to me, it's not a coincidence that the way that I perceive Matt LaFleur as a guy who takes a while to get his footing every year, every game, like, and by the way, every game was true. He was a terrible first half play caller for like the first 10 games. Like, so like, to me, it's not a coincidence that he's good in December, because this is, in my head, the way I profile Matt LaFleur is like, this is how I view him, as like a guy that takes a while. The coaching profile of the guy is one that needs to get things wrong before he gets them right. So December, last month of the regular season, he gets them right because he's gone through the trials of the first 3 months. So that would be my take. It's not a coincidence.
2 things. They told Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur this week, both talked to the media about we put an emphasis on starting early. And I think they did that because they realized that if they don't emphasize starting early, then they're going to suck at the beginning of games. So they need to emphasize starting fast in order to start it all. So I think Matt LaFleur's figured out how to push buttons and really where he needs to invest time and in preparation and in game planning. But also, like, we're talking about how Jordan Love has figured it out, and Matt LaFleur's finally letting him play. I think Jordan Love looks great. But also, 2 months ago, we were saying, well, this isn't all Jordan Love's fault. His O-line isn't organized, and his wide receivers don't look good. And Matt LaFleur's
line's been great.
So now, a couple months later, yes, Jordan Love deserves the credit, but we also got to point out the wide receivers have figured it out. The offensive line has figured it out. So no kidding, Jordan Love has started to look better, and he started to develop, because all of the things that we complained about earlier on in the year, and we kind of used those things to shift blame off of Love, they all look better too. So it's not that just that Jordan Love now looks like an amazing quarterback and is lifting everyone up. Everyone has started to figure it out, Matt LaFleur included. It's a very different team that he's coaching, Paul. Like I think to evaluate LaFleur and to talk about him as a coach, we almost have to have a cutoff at the end of the Rodgers era and start brand new, because he's a different coach coaching a different type of team with different goals. I think it's going to be really hard to use evidence and data points from the first couple of years, at least right now, with this team in year one. Yeah,
and then you could say like last year when Aaron Rodgers made the singular decision of like, okay, we're 4-8, but we're going to win out. Right. Mm-hmm. And my thumb be damned, like,
which I don't really fault him for, just for the record, for listeners, like Bart, Bart was angry about that. I was mostly indifferent. Like about
Rodgers,
I could mostly give a shit.
If Love would have got 5 games there, we could be 9-3 right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a hilarious talking point that you should keep going with. I don't know that I believe it, but I love tweeting things I don't believe. It's really fun. So far be it from me to tell anyone not to do that.
And I know I pointed this out last week too, but again, another game without Jair, another game without Aaron Jones. which brings me back to my spot track table of what percent of the cap are guys this year who aren't playing. Yep. And between Rodgers, Bakhtiari, Jair, and Aaron Jones, it's more than a third of their cap. More than a third is on Rodgers, Bakhtiari, Jair, and Aaron Jones. And needless to say, none of those guys contributed Sunday night against the Chiefs. And that's kind of why it's like, are they ahead of schedule? And Bart, you say, well, slow down. They're 5-6. That was a week ago. It's like, no, but like all of the guys that they are committed financially to on their cap,
they're not playing.
They're not a part of this.
Well, which to me is Joe Barry's got a secondary of backups, and he's coaching his best defense of the year.
Yeah,
I thought their open tackle efforts were very good.
Yeah,
there were some strong open field tackles in that game. I was very happy.
And I do think the Keyshawn Nixon interception of Mahomes, I can't believe a defensive back, especially sort of an unheralded defensive back, made that catch in that play.
He's got unbelievable football instincts. He's undersized and he's not the most physically gifted player, but he sees and reads things at a really, really high level. It's fun to watch.
I think PJ Tucker would describe Keyshawn Nixon as
a dog.
A dog.
He kind of looks like PJ Tucker, doesn't he?
But like when you're that type of player, like a PJ Tucker, like a Keyshawn Nixon, like a Draymond Green, and I know we're crossing sport lines here, but like you're not the tallest, biggest, like you have to be a dog. You have to be a guy that grinds and just busts his ass because you're not as physically gifted as your peers. Like, so you only make it to that level because you were just always grinding. And what an unbelievable play.
Won in the game. Yeah.
Jordan Love, we'll conclude here. Capital T, capital G, the guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we'll put an MF in the middle because I'm going to say Love is not only capital G, capital D, the guy. Jordan Love is, and this is for the sake of the question that you can or Jordan Love is the motherfucking guy. And you'd be willing to bet right now, even odds, that he will be
I'll sound like a substitute teacher swearing once to like impress the class.
But like to me at this point, like
you guys want to learn today, or do you want to fucking learn?
The reason I say it the way I do, though, and this will probably give away the way I feel about it, but like for someone to not say he's the guy, which was a totally fair question not that long ago. You just don't want him to be. And you were going to fight tooth and nail to say he's not. Like it would be a dumb question for me to say, is Jordan Love the guy? Because like fucking duh. Like there's not a question about that. So here's where I want to go with it. I want to go further than that. You'd be willing to bet that in the next 5 years, he is a top 8 NFL quarterback. You get even odds. So if he is like top 8, because we know the prestigious top 8, who those are today. Bart has his QB tiers. And I was going to say top 10, but I think he would, more easily sneak into the top 10. Top 8 is prestigious territory. It's the line that I think like Tua is trying to infiltrate right now. Who, by the way, benefits from having Tyreek Hill and other extremely fast guys around him who are much more experienced than the Packers' weapons. But all of that to say, Love is not only the guy. You'd be willing to bet that he'll be a top 8 QB sometime in the next 5 years. Or This is me testing how high is your Jordan Love ceiling confidence right now? This is my test for you.
I watched the QB class JT O'Sullivan does.
The QB school?
Yeah. Fuck. I promoted it wrong on CBS too.
He's really good.
It's very funny, like the different angles these mediocre backup quarterbacks that we've had have taken. Like JT O'Sullivan is breaking down plays and helping you, the viewer, learn and grow your knowledge. And the other guys, there's another guy saying, the social media wouldn't let me meme. It's like, Jesus, guy. By the way, if you want my Madden tips, subscribe for $30 a month. The QB school, Sparky just tweeted it. He goes, it's hard to watch this and not laugh, like out of joy. And this is where Jordan, I texted my brother the other night, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe what's happening. Like he And, you know, the future is a beautiful mystery. Some loser said that once. But he is Rodgers. But the signs are there. The signs are there. He's good. Even the bullshit bucket pass that Dobbs worked. You know, guys are getting open. You watch this breakdown, and Jordan Love, the play that really impressed me, I think, was the goal line touchdown to Sims. And Love has to recognize that there's a guy coming off the edge that he has to do something about because there's no one there to protect him. And the exaggerated play fake he did got this guy to bite where Love could have basically walked it in and just tosses it to Sims. And some of the stuff that he is seeing, like he's getting better protection, certainly, but the stuff that he is seeing, he just seems like he's smart. And if there's things on his game that you think can improve, whether it's accuracy deep, you know, whether, you know, whatever. And I love that he went down for a sack on that fourth down. I love that he didn't throw it away.
Yep.
I love that he knew he had enough leeway that he's smart. I think he's smart. And you can watch him and say, oh, that looks like Rodgers. And then you can watch him and say, yeah, that's kind of a Favre thing. And I'm not saying that he's going to be as good as either of them. And I'm so far from saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But right now, top 8 in the future, I can see that for sure. Wow. Right now I put him at like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So top 8 is certainly
so. Well, so let's say he's 12 or 13, Bart. Who's 10 and 11? Like, do you have your list?
I could just tell you the guys I'd put ahead of him.
Yeah, I'm curious where. Like,
I'll count.
What? Who said something?
I said I'll count if you want to list them off.
Who is? Would it be funnier if I counted who's behind him or ahead of him?
Let's do ahead of him.
Tua. Are you counting?
Yep. 1.
Josh Allen.
2. Rami might disagree, but we'll see.
Mahomes. Herbert.
4.
He did outplay him, but no Russell Wilson, so I'm at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar.
5.
Burrow.
6. Jake
Trevor
Brown.
Lawrence, rest in peace. Stroud. I'll put Stroud up there. For now, let's just say.
Okay. 8. I think great. 8.
Hurts and Dak.
9, 10.
Let's say Purdy.
Ooh, okay.
Let's say Goff.
Ooh, okay. That's 11. That's 12.
So even with some oops in there, that's 13.
So who did you almost maybe say? So like Russell Wilson is behind Love.
Who did I almost maybe say?
Yeah.
I mean, he's ahead of Kyler. He's ahead of Geno. He's ahead of Russ.
Yes.
He's ahead of Daniel Jones. He's ahead of Howell.
Yep.
He's ahead of whoever the Raiders play. He's ahead of
Kirk.
I think he's ahead of Deshaun Watson. Really?
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
So at worst, he's 13. At worst,
yeah,
he's 13. And there's some of those that you can say, no, that's fine.
And about Herbert, like I think Herbert's better. I just don't think Herbert is the guy that some want to say.
I want to see Herbert with a new coach.
Well, and at different points this season, like I've heard.
How the fuck was that game 6-0?
I didn't believe that when I saw it. I thought that was someone was trolling me on Twitter.
Gross. And even in that, like you have Purdy who has Debo and Ayuk and like it's like McCaffrey and Kittle and like so like maybe Purdy Love. I mean, there's maybe like that's a fair argument.
Well,
like,
just for the sake of the conversation, if a guy's favored to be the MVP right now, I'm not going to get on my stool and argue for Love.
I'm just saying what's incredible about even saying in theory like those guys are like maybe this, maybe that's like the difference in the weapons that one guy has. Which I mean, Purdy's are incredible.
I feel like Love, fast forward a couple of years, I think this young group of receivers can be really, really good. I don't know if they have the high end. I don't know if the superstars are there. We'll have to see. And that's what we talked about last week, right, Paul? It's like, and I think Christian Watson has shown even more since last week. Unfortunately, he's banged up.
Which is part of his story right now.
Well, and we talk about speed and size, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the best ability is availability. So we would be remiss if we don't keep that in mind when evaluating Watson.
One has said that.
One has, yeah. I love, rank him 12th, 13th, whatever. I'm trying not to overreact. I didn't want to overreact earlier on in the year when they looked like ass. And I was basically like every day on my show, like, yeah, guys, it's bad, but I would like to see some more games. You know what I mean? And then the last 3 weeks, they look awesome. And I, listen to Cowherd or Rich Eisen or whoever, and they're like, the Packers are the team no one wants to play. I'm like, all right. I think the Cowboys, Eagles, and Niners would all still beat the balls off this Packers team, in probably a reasonable game scenario. Obviously, anyone can beat anyone, but so I'm not trying to overreact to this, but Love looks like he has high-end tools. Like there are flashes there. It's about kind of smoothing out some of the warts in his game, and I think he can be a top 10 guy. Yeah, top 8. That's really good. We've gotten used to really good quarterback play for a long time. I don't just want to assign him that quite yet.
Well, no, I mean, but and you're saying like the next 5 years. I think the problem is none of those top 8 guys right now are old, right, Bart? Like they're all in their 20s still.
Yeah,
most of the guys. So he'd have to more likely Love would have to ascend.
Yes, and
or like. And I've heard conversations this year about people taking Herbert out of their top 10, about taking Trevor Lawrence out of their top 10 in terms of quarterbacks. And so it's not like even Dak was being benched in some people's view not that many months ago. Where it's like, oh, is Dak really the guy? Are we sure they shouldn't go to the backup? So like even these guys who are now thought of as top 8, top 10, like it's not like they're just clear. And Josh Allen, that conversation continues. So like where he sits. So I can definitely see a ceiling for top 8 in the next 5 years.
I think with Burrow and or not Burrow, but I think with Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, people are knocking them because we thought those guys last year, this year would reach another level, and they're both very good, but we thought, well, they're going to be great, and they haven't been great yet. I also, you talk about Burrow, Allen, and I'm sure there's other quarterbacks that also kind of fit this category. I want to see what those guys look like when they get into phase 2 with their team, right? Like what happens to those quarterbacks when they hit the point that Rodgers hit in 2015, where we do lose some of those wide receivers that you've played with your whole career.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough money for the defense, and we kind of have to retool and reshape the team on the fly. Like what is Burrow's amazing. I'm not saying he's not, but there are very few quarterbacks that can genuinely play 12, 15 years with a team and take them to the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless of what's going on around them. And we're going to see some changes as Allen makes more money, as Burrow makes more money. We're going to have to see some roster changes. I want to see what they look like with that too. So that's something to keep in mind and to watch for the next.
And they showed during Monday Night Football, right? Like if you saw the thing with all the upcoming offensive Bengal free agents this offseason.
Yep.
One of which is T. Higgins, and there's Tyler Boyd, who's a really good quarterback.
I love.
Just kidding.
Tyler
Boyd last night. Did he not see Josh Allen, like defensive Jaguars Josh Allen? Remember the interception that he threw? Anyway.
I'll play a quick game of Have You Heard Of?
Oh, sure.
To wrap it up?
Yep. Fleer 91 pack of cards I'm opening, baseball. Have you ever heard of Zane Smith?
No. In fact,
have you ever heard of Glenn Wilson?
Uh-uh.
Oh, people are alive. Joe DeJesus. Have you ever heard of Reds legend Todd Benzinger? Rick Reichel.
Oh, Robbie's brother.
I was going to say, God damn it.
Les Lancaster. I've heard of him.
No.
Cubs pitcher. Dave Burba, for some reason I've heard of.
Yes. Yes. That was yes.
It's Ross Verba's dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Burba. That was I did random Brewers with David Gasper every week throughout the season last year, and that was one of Gasper's random Brewers.
Kelly Gruber.
One pitch.
This is fake. This is fake. This guy's fake. Mike
Sharperson.
Don Slott. What a name.
Don Slott? Can you imagine the onslaught from Don Slott?
He's a pirate in this card. Don Slott. What a fucking name. I'm keeping that card.
There's just no way. This is a fictional pack of cards.
Scott Erickson, Ron Kittle, Scott Anderson, and the great Dave Stewart.
Ah.
There's a guy named Don Slott.
Donald Martin Slott, nicknamed Sluggo, is an American former baseball catcher. He played in the major leagues from 82 to 97 for the Royals, Rangers, Yankees, Pirates, Angels, White Sox.
Nicknamed Slug. How's his nickname not just his name?
Good question.
His name is Don Slott.
Dude, he had a 15-year major league career.
Half the teams in the league.
Let me just go back to Teacher Tom's thing from earlier. I was looking up. There's this one really good.
And you can leave if you must.
There's a baseballtradevalues.com, and Jackson Chourio, by the way, is by far the most valuable brewer in terms of this trade value chart. But like, you could get Ozzy Albies straight up right now for Chourio, according to this chart. So like, so just for an example of like someone that you could trade him for, but like, his value, Teacher Tom, is incredible. Like he would be, let me see if I can find this real quick. He would be the second most valuable Dodger behind Mookie Betts.
Wow.
So yeah, Chourio has a ton of trade value, though please never mention that until the year 2032 at the earliest. Thank you.
Guys, thanks for your Don Slott of information today. Very good.
Thank you.
This is the Bart Winkler Show. Like and subscribe. What?
I just always appreciate the time you having us on. Thank you, Bart.
Well, the time is appreciated by myself for your time.
Mm.
Yeah. All right.
Goodbye.
Nothing.